Starting the turbo build. We're gonna get started by installing the regulator. It's a high flow 4 regulator. We're gonna install it so that the hose is in line with the fuel rail, and then the return hose goes down, and we're gonna drill a hole right now into the shock tower so that we could run the hose into the back of the car. So we're gonna go ahead and drill that hole now. We don't have the right tool for the job, so we're gonna do it with a little screwdriver to start the hole, and then come back with a bigger bit, and then try to make it fit. The object is to get this rubber, a hole for this to fit in, and hopefully it'll hide all of our ugliness. Okay, thank you.
Bro.
Did you get that on video?
Yeah.
And that is not what you're supposed to do. Do not go at it at an angle, and you will break the stupid bit. Stay tuned. So this is what we got so far. Showing what we got. So we're gonna continue. We're gonna drill out these little holes now, and hopefully that'll make a pretty much a circle, and then I'll be able to stick my little thing in. That came out wrong, I'm sorry. No good, no good. The 4 regulator, pretty standard for Mustangs. And this is the return hose, because it's rubber, so it doesn't need that much. It's not, the supply has to be steel braided. So we made our hole here, and we're just gonna start by eyeing this out here. Our hole is really bad, but it doesn't matter because this is a drift car. That's what I say when I realize I screwed up, so I try to make up an excuse, which is this is a drift car, but this is not a drift car. This is my life's accomplishment, and it needs to be perfect. Anyway, so here we go. We're gonna have it here like this. So basically that looks pretty nice. As ugly as the hole is, it looks good. So, and we need to tilt this to the rail. So as long as that's pointing a little bit at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we're good. All right, so stay tuned. We're gonna put some thread sealant here, some Teflon or whatever, the tape, and make sure everything is very tight, because we don't want any leaks. Okay, because the fuel system has a lot of pressure. But first we're gonna mount it up and make sure everything's good before we tighten it. So stay tuned. So we don't have the stuff. They're not here right now. So we decided to do the air fuel ratio gauge instead. So I'm gonna go down under to Australia, and we're gonna start trying to connect the air fuel ratio gauge. I have the sensors in. We just gotta wire them up now and hook them up to the live wire that goes into the SCT tuner. So stay tuned. Going in. I'm gonna try to take off the fuel rails. Okay. I'm gonna try to take the intake off. put the intake spacers so that we could fit the aftermarket fuel rails because they're bigger. And then we're just gonna put it in with the stock injectors for now and just get the car running, make sure we don't have any fuel leaks, anything like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and continue with the gas tank. So we gotta put the whole new gas tank with the new filter, high flow filter, high flow pumps. So we have all that already assembled. So all we have to do is just drop the tank, put the new one up, and then run the lines from here, from the tank to here. And then we'll be done with the fuel system. So stay tuned. Got the coolant tube off. Getting ready to take the rails off. Fuel rails off. And now we're gonna take off each injector one by one. Make sure we don't spin them, only pull them straight out to try to preserve the O-rings so we don't have to replace them, which we probably will end up doing, but we're gonna try it one time without it. So that's coming up next. So it's nighttime, as you can see. We got the fuel rails in, and now we have to make a steel braided hose, and that's like a pain in the butt. So we stopped to eat some leftover cold pizza, and then we'll probably get back at it in about 10 minutes to show you what it looks like.
No.
Okay.
You ready?
It's filming already. Sorry we haven't been filming a lot. So far we got, let's go look at this really quick. So we got the fuel rails in, we got the return line coming back into the regulator, and then soon we'll be making, we need some more fittings though. But now, oh, we ran it through here. Show the people. We ran the supply through here, and the return is right here. See? That's where the return comes out. This is where the supply goes in. We're gonna check length right now and make sure we don't cut it too short. And this is also our return. So we're gonna connect that to this when we're ready. And then it's already hung under the bottom. So now we got the tank going in. We already took the old tank out. We're gonna come out here with our electrical, with our wiring, and then so we don't use spare tires here. We got AAA, so we're cool. We're protected. Got that umbrella. No, but seriously, so we're gonna have our. I was thinking about cutting a hole here so I can expose my whole fuel pump, but I don't know. I've been kind of reluctant to do that. Show them the new tank. This is the new tank. Get close. This is the 4 fuel hat. See, this is the AN fitting for the supply. I mean, for the return rubber supply will be steel braided. And then here's our wiring. Is what we're gonna put through this hole right here. We're gonna make sure all of our vacuum lines are gonna hook up correctly because this tank came from a Cobra. It's a Cobra tank, so we're gonna have to, you know, maybe do some rigging or something to get it to work, you know. But overall it's very simple. These are just vacuum lines for the computer to know that you have a pressurized system, and then if these leak, you're gonna throw a code. It's a stupid code. It's not gonna hurt but you don't want any codes. So if you get these correct, you won't have no problems. And then, so we're almost ready. We got the jack here. I just want to check to make sure everything almost fits. So we're gonna jack it closer, start connecting stuff that we can, and little by little keep jacking it up as we still connect stuff. So thank you. Yeah, so the rain keeps raining on us. Unfortunately, we don't have the amenities of having a shop and all that cool stuff that a lot of these guys have. We're just some backyard mechanics. So we had to go to Walmart and buy some tents, and we're gonna put 2 tents and then a big tarp connecting them, and hopefully make a lot more space for we'll be protected more. Maybe it's probably a waste, but whatever. So now we're gonna try to get the tank back in and keep up the motivation, or the endurance. Right. So I marked it, but I'm gonna put these in while I have it here to make sure that it fits, that I got it where I want it. These aren't that pretty, but when I put the rubber on it, around it, hopefully it'll look nice. As long as it's sealed, I don't really care how it looks. And I'm able to access my fuel hat now, and all my lines, so I could easily change anything. And that's what we're looking for. So stay tuned. All right, so this is pretty much what we came up with so far. We wanted to make everything accessible, like I said before. So we put these latches. These are actually from my toolbox. And we took them out of the toolbox. So we got our little doors here. We're gonna put some cotter pins in there, but we put a little rubber seal around. And you know, that's basically what we got. We got the little cotter pin. Obviously this is not what we're gonna use as a cotter pin, but Jose could not find something better. So, and we might, I don't know if we're gonna put this through here, maybe drill a hole, or maybe put a little hole right here, something nice and clean, and another little rubber grommet. And we're still going with the black and white theme, so this works with that, black and white. So we're probably gonna cover all this up anyways with the rug of the trunk, but whenever it comes time to open it, you'll know that professional was here, Kyle style, over and out. Hey, what's up guys? All right, so we made a lot of progress. We've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We got all of our lines connected here. Everything is tightened. We put a little bit of this fuel resistant gasket dressing that gave me a little more peace of mind. Even though one of my friends told me you don't have to put that, we put it. So maybe it'll be a problem, I don't know. Now we're in the process of working on getting our intake back on. Right now we already have all the clips to the injectors, the electrical connectors. We put a little bit of gasket in the clip part because the clips weren't holding anymore, so we just kind of put some gasket maker right inside of where the clip used to be, and then that pretty much held them in tightly. We'll see if we're missing, if that's a problem in the future. But other than that, we had masking tape there this whole time to make sure nothing goes in the holes. We're about to take that off now, try to very carefully clean it without dropping anything inside of the combustion chambers. And then we already got our intake here almost ready. Basically the same idea, staying away from where the actual air goes with the gasket maker to make sure that it doesn't go inside when I compress it hard. We've been using that same process throughout. Every level has its own gasket maker as well as gasket. So we have the intake, gasket maker, gasket maker, spacer, gasket maker, gasket maker, and now the engine. So this is the last level. I'm kind of caking it on a little thick here because the engine has like a rougher kind of surface. So this is the high temperature copper gasket maker.
I see it.
I don't know if you can see it or not. Anyway, the point is that we use this one. I saw on YouTube a guy that was doing like an intake, and he used this on his intake. I don't really know which one's better. I would have probably went with black RTV. Supposedly I don't need any at all, and then this is gonna make it really hard when it comes time to take off the intake. But I'd rather have a harder time taking off the intake than I would having a leak in my boost. You know what I mean? I don't want a boost leak. So this will pretty much ensure that we're not gonna have any boost leaks. So I'm gonna finish putting this gasket maker on here. We're gonna get the intake on and start torquing. We're only gonna do it finger tight until the gasket maker makes a seal. In like 2 hours, then we'll come back and we'll torque it. And I have the torque specifications, like which order and how much. Basically it's pretty simple. You start off in the middle bolts and you do all the middle bolts torqued down in a crisscross pattern, and then you do the outside bolts again in a crisscross pattern. You're supposed to follow it exactly, but I mean, I have the picture there, but I don't think it's that serious. Anyways, especially since we're putting the gasket maker, so that's kind of like our threshold. Now we have more to play with. Now we don't have to make it perfectly flat, because the gasket maker will fill in the rest. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. I've been really liking watching the videos later. Good morning. So we're getting started today. It's Sunday. The first thing we want to do is we finished all the plumbing on the tank and all the fuel lines. So now all we got to do is wire up the pumps, fill it up with fuel, and test it. So right now we're finding the rollover switch. We're following some instructions there that Phil gave us, and we'll keep you posted. So stay tuned. So now as you can see, we have like a nest of wires. This is a very confusing part for me. So we're just taking it one step at a time. But all the wires that the car came with were too thin, basically, for our pumps. We need to make sure that they're 16 gauge, and we need to make sure they don't heat up and melt. So we're replacing them with 10 gauge or 12 gauge. And one of the things that we have to replace is this. This is the 16 gauge that comes with the car, but we still need this plug, which goes to the rollover switch. The switch that is for when the car rolls over, it turns off your fuel pumps. So we need to replace these with these. This wire for this wire. And then that's gonna make sure nothing melts. So we're on our way to victory. Thank you. Yeah, so we wired it all up now. Basically all it was just we needed to put bigger wires, so we ran one big 10 gauge from the front, which is going to go into fuse 10, which is a switched fuse. But basically all it was I ran the power that's going to be feeding the pump is now 10 gauge instead of 16 gauge, which is skinnier, which is going to overheat. So we ran that one wire, and then after that we just incorporated the original OEM rollover switch. So now if I flip over the car, it'll turn off my pumps. And that's about it. We used ground wire here. We incorporated we incorporated the original OEM yellow and green wire that fed power. We're just using that to switch on our relay now. And that 16 gauge is still there. It just flicks on the relay, which solidifies the circuit, which continues the circuit now and makes this wire, which had power but stopped at the relay. Now when the yellow wire is turned on by me turning on the key, it turns on the relay. That runs the power to my pumps, and then it goes through fuses here. You guys are gonna totally laugh, but these are 30 amp fuses that I made a fuse holder for, because I really did not feel like going to the store right now. I was on a roll, and this should work fine. The worst, it might ground out, but I put a ton of freaking electrical tape on it, so it should be fine. Typical backyard mechanics here. So we're gonna put some fuel now, and hopefully everything should fire up and work exactly the same. I have a tune that I have to upload into the tuner that has now return fuel system instead of the returnless that it was on, and so we're getting there. So one step at a time. So we got everything working. The pumps turned on wonderfully. At first, I forgot to put the Schrader valve in, so the fuel came spilling out like crazy. We turned off the car, put the Schrader valve, then we forgot something else. And then once we got everything pressurized, there was a huge leak on the middle injector in the passenger side fuel rail. So right where the injector goes into the fuel rail, it was spitting out fuel. So unfortunately, we were retarded and we put our intake on before we tested the fuel system, which was pretty stupid. So now we're gonna have to take off the intake that we just took our time to put on, if we have to. First, I'm gonna try to fix it without taking it off, but most likely we're gonna have to take it off. So, but we're just gonna bite the bullet. We bought some more gasket maker. So basically, I want to try to take off only the bottom part. So we're gonna try to keep the whole setup together as one, and take it off away from the manifold. But so everything else seemed to be holding pretty solid. There was another little leak over here by the regulator, so we're gonna check that too. So we'll be back at it in a second.